You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Good morning and welcome to the Voice of Charity. I am Phil Zepeda here with my colleague Katie Bredemann. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Phil.
We welcome you, those folks that are listening on WNDZ 750 AM radio, and we're also live streaming, as many of you know, on the Archdiocese of Chicago's YouTube channel at Catholic Chicago. We are here on Tuesday mornings at 8:30, and we hope you'll consider joining us every week at this time. So as we've said multiple times on the show, Katie, the seniors are very important to us at Catholic Charities, right? And last year, seniors in Cook and Lake counties were assisted 80,000 times with Catholic Charities services to connect them to care, arrange supportive services, and ensure their safety. It's all about that accompaniment, right? That was a 30% increase from the previous year, and Catholic Charities made sure that we rose to that challenge.
Absolutely, Phil. And included in our senior services are 23 residential buildings for low-income seniors, food distribution through our food pantries, congregate meals and home-delivered meal programs, counseling, and adult protective services if they're needed. We also have 10 fabulous drop-in centers where seniors can find socialization and access to community resources. And we offer 3 adult daycare centers for older, more frail adults who cannot be left alone. These 3 wonderful centers served 250 seniors last year. And today, we'd like to tell you more about the ways that they offer kind, professional, ongoing support to seniors and their families.
So with us today to provide an update on our 3 adult daycare centers are Angela Bailey, who's the Associate Vice President of Senior Services at Catholic Charities, and LaDonna Tennent, the lead site director for all 3 of our adult daycare centers. Welcome, Angela and LaDonna. We're so glad to have you here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Absolutely glad to have you here. Let's start with Angela. Well, since there's 2 guests here, we want to make sure that you guys know who we're directing our questions to. Angela, Catholic Charities adult daycare centers fill a vital role in our comprehensive list of services for seniors. Can you explain what the mission is at the heart of these 3 centers and how they complement the other services we provide to seniors?
Absolutely. So we offer services to frail seniors who simply can't be left alone. We provide supervised socialization and activities in a safe and supportive environment to those with physical and or mental health needs. We ensure that these vulnerable seniors continue to receive encouragement to make the most of every day, while family members or caregivers are given a break from the 24/7 caregiving responsibilities that they have, specifically for those who work outside the home. Our adult daycare centers are part of Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago's ongoing efforts to help seniors live independently in their communities for as long as possible.
And so, Angela, what are some of the physical and mental health concerns that our participants are dealing with? And just to clarify, not all of the participants are elderly, correct?
No, they're not. We do have some clients that we receive through the Veterans Administration as well as the Department of Rehabilitative Services that are under the age of 60, but also have some challenges that require them to need supervision during the day.
And so, LaDonna, you are the lead site director for all 3 of the adult daycare centers, and you're based at St. Albee. Can you please share with our audience the locations of all 3 centers and the names as well?
I definitely can. So as you stated, I am housed here at St. Albee's Adult Daycare. We're located 9249 South Avalon, 60619. Our sister site, which is in the heart of Inglewood, is Ada S. Niles, which is 6717 South Elizabeth. And then our third facility, which is also located in the heart of Chicago, it is Accolade Adult Daycare, which is in Oak Park, which is 112 South Humphrey.
Excellent, and we'll make sure more information is available on those senior centers at CatholicCharities.net. But it's a big job. It's a tough job, and we're so grateful to have both of you leading this work. Angela, back to you for a moment. Once family members or caregivers dropped off their loved ones for the day, what does the average day look like inside an adult daycare centers? And what are some of the ways in which staff members are monitoring the health of participants as they get involved in activities?
So activities can include arts and crafts, dance, fitness and exercise, field trips, holiday parties, birthday celebrations, table and card games, memory games, health monitoring and medication supervision, personal care, nutritious meals and snacks, and even special diets are provided, as well as transportation to and from the facility. So we have clients, daughters and sons who may drop them off, siblings, grandchildren, whomever is the primary caregiver for that particular client. And we work very closely with them to ensure that their loved one is safe during the day, and that they can be rest assured that no harm is going to come to them while they're in our care.
We've been showing, if you've been watching on our YouTube live stream, we've been sharing some of the photographs of the care and tenderness and love that's shown to the guests and at these programs, and it's really just heartwarming. And I know, Katie, if we have time in the show, you were down at Ada S. Niles for their Valentine's Day party a couple of weeks ago, but we'll get into it. But it's just, you see how emotive these photographs are, and the love and tenderness that is shown to your guests. It's just truly wonderful. LaDonna, I think this question is kind of back to you, of being really on the front line with these three adult daycare centers. How do you and the other two, the site directors, juggle the staffing needs when one or more of the participants is not necessarily having their best day?
Well, that happens kind of daily.
Yeah.
But we have such a strong and awesome support staff across all three facilities. But throughout the course of the month, we have bi-weekly trainings. We also meet up with the staff every 2 weeks so we can staff particular participants depending on their needs. As you stated, we do have difficult participants, but once we get together with everybody, we're able to put a strategic plan together, so we're able to make sure it moves across the floor in all three facilities.
And I guess that with the experience and tenure that you have in running these facilities and doing this work, is there a threshold of when you contact family members about a particular behavior or issue that's developed, or is you've mostly got about 90% of it under your control and care?
So actually, as soon as we start seeing any sort of behavior switches and things like that, we're going to contact the caregivers.
Yeah.
We're going to contact the caregivers because we would like to know what they're doing in the household so that we can try to, incorporate that here at the daycare so that the participant is feeling safe and feeling as though they have a need for the staff and things like that. So we immediately reach out to the caregivers just so they can be aware of what's going on with their loved one, and also give us some helpful clues and things like that we can work with.
So more news is good news.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Well, and I can't imagine, but knowing of the wonderful, loving care that each of these participants receives at Catholic Charities, that it's such a blessing in the lives of the family. As Angela said before, many of these caregivers or the children of the participants, work outside the home, and we can't imagine, what a concern that must be every day to think of your loved one at home, your father, your mother, your aunt, your uncle, your grandparent. parent and wonder how they're doing. And so what's the reaction that you get, LaDonna, from caregivers on a regular basis about the services that are offered at these adult daycare centers?
Well, actually, this is my opportunity to ring in all the praise for all 3 adult daycares. We often get a lot of phone calls thanking and providing a lot of accolades to the staff and to the program because it's such a need. It's such a need due to the fact as though we're dealing with, in the times that everybody is working. So they need a place, a safe place where they can put their loved one and they feel comfortable with the staffing and with the program. So when anything sits under Catholic Charities, that is a ray of light. So we always try to put all of those things into perspective. But they really enjoyed the program, and from what I have gathered, they feel as though it is a plus for their loved one because they're not just at home.
Right.
We're providing them with socialization. We're providing them with activities and things like that they can do instead of sitting stagnant at home, which will definitely decline them in their older age and dealing with the different diagnoses and things that we deal with.
Well, and sometimes the participants, have been there over weeks and months and even years, right? I've seen friendships develop within the centers that are priceless. That's such a joy for these participants to have these bonds with the people that they see Monday through Friday during the week, of the regular working hours during the week, of their friends, right? It's not just a place to go. This is a place of wonderful socialization and friendships built within the participants and the staff members who really care about them as well.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And they look for their friends. They look for their table mates. They look for their buddies when something is going on and they aren't in attendance. They will definitely come to the office to inquire, where is my person? So you are correct.
And so does each person, I'm assuming that the intake for each person is rather extensive because you want to hear their health history, you want to hear what their current needs are, but then as you said, your staff is trained to really watch any change in behavior as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, our intake process could take up to 2.5 to 3 hours on any given day in which the intake has been scheduled. And during the course of that time, they're going through all of the information that we need as a whole for Catholic Charity, things that we need to put into perspective as far as IDOA and things on the medical end as far as making sure that we're providing the best services for their loved ones. So it could take up to 3 hours.
So this is a great opportunity and a reminder to remind our listeners. Catholic Charities is organized our programs and services into 4 impact areas, right? And seniors is one of those key impact areas. So we have people like Angela and people like LaDonna on our team that are just such wonderfully trained, massively intelligent, loving staff people to work with our seniors, our beloved seniors. Alongside our other impact areas, which include a housing group. We have another program for immediate access and basic needs, and yet a 4th program for children, youth, and families. But the specialty that we have about the care and love being offered to our seniors is within our wheelhouse, and we're so grateful to have you both leading these programs. We have plenty more to talk about the adult daycare centers. We're going to throw it to a break right now. So you're listening to The Voice of Charity on Catholic Chicago. We're talking with Angela Bailey, Associate Vice President of Senior Services, and LaDonna Tennent, the lead site director for all 3 of our adult daycare centers. We'll talk more with Angela and LaDonna when we return from this break. Again, you're listening to The Voice of Charity on Catholic Chicago.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking.
Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program has assisted thousands of single parents who are working to become more self-sufficient through education and employment opportunities. Our experienced case managers accompany participants for up to 5 years on their journey to identify, address, and break down barriers to improving their quality of life and achieving meaningful goals for themselves and for their families. Professional, compassionate assistance is offered in a safe and trusting environment as participants develop the skills needed to become financially stable and able to support themselves. Every achievement starts with a decision to try. To learn more about Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program, call 847-782-4233 or visit CatholicCharities.net.
Folks, you probably know that on
For more
March
than 20
13th,
years,
we celebrate
Catholic
the 10th
Charities
anniversary
Adult Protect
of the election of Pope Francis as the Bishop of Rome. Ever since his election, he has asked the people of God to pray for him. And so we are joining in an effort asking Catholics on March 13th to say 10 Hail Marys for him. You can learn more about this and register your name at archchicago.org. I encourage all of you to participate in this support of the Holy Father as he celebrates a decade of service to the people of God.
Catholic Charities' founding mission. For more than 100 years, we have met people and families where they are, serving anyone in need, regardless of their faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. As our world absorbs the economic, political, and social aftershocks of the pandemic, 50% or more of the 6 million people living in Cook and Lake counties have little or no savings. They are a paycheck away from zero. We are deeply grateful to everyone in the Catholic Charities community who partners with us to alleviate the suffering of the people we serve and offer them a better path forward. We are witnessing a message of mercy and hope to a world very much in need. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
Welcome back to the Voice of Charity. I'm Katie Bredemann here in the studio today with Phil Zepeda, and it's our great fortune to be with Angela Bailey, who is Associate Vice President for Catholic Charities Senior Services, as well as LaDonna Tennent, who is the lead site director for all three of Catholic Charities Adult Daycare Centers. And that's the topic of our show today, these wonderful centers where frail adults can find wonderful socialization and activities and provide their families with the comfort of knowing that their loved one is being cared for, oftentimes while they're at work themselves. And so LaDonna and Angela, before the break, we were talking about the average day at the adult daycare centers, how there's a range of activities. Birthdays are celebrated, holidays are celebrated, but I wonder, LaDonna, if you can share a little bit in greater detail about how the staff members are trained, because it's not just about saying hello and being kind to people. You know, each staff member, I had the great pleasure of going to the Ada S. Niles Adult Daycare Center for their Valentine's celebration a few weeks ago. And it was very obvious to me that these staff members don't just know the participants and say hello to them and are kind to them. They really understood the special needs of each participant, and they were able to care for them accordingly. Can you share with us how the staff members are trained to be that thoroughly present to each of the participants in the adult daycare centers?
Definitely. So as I stated earlier, we are constantly in training mode. So we train every month, we train every quarter. Definitely focus on the quarter because that depends on if we have new staff. And also it's very helpful that for each participant, when they are brought into the adult daycare, we provide the staff with a profile. So on this profile, it's going to give you a list of things that are very important for the care of that particular person. So the staff is able to have that, with them a couple of days prior to them starting. If they have any questions, that's when we have an open door policy, all managers, so they will come and ask any questions or concerns, and we update those profiles whenever there are new changes with the participants. So that definitely keeps the staff on task because they're able to follow suit with what we have on the profile.
It's just such important work, and investing in our teams, equipping our teams in that type of training is just so great to hear. I also, I recognize that they have to almost be, fully aware of all the programs of Catholic Charities to talk about with the caregivers the full line of programs and services that Catholic Charities offers. If the adult daycare center participants need other assistance, are you referring them to other Catholic Charities programs or other social service organizations? How does that work with kind of that hub of knowledge that you offer the caregiving family?
So whenever the whatever needs that the family may have, even the participants, whenever they are inquiring about anything, we always try our best to put them in the right area in which is needed. We're going to definitely start with Catholic Charities. If someone is seeking services with Meals on Wheels, if they're looking for independent living or assisted living program, we're going to definitely send them to Catholic Charity, and any other resources that we may have, we're going to provide that to the family also. So,
LaDonna, I asked this from the perspective of myself being a caregiver for my for my father, who has since passed. But I recognize it's not easy for anyone to care for a frail, vulnerable older adult on a 24/7 basis, right? And my situation was different than the circumstances you and many of your teams are dealing with. Talk to us about the opportunity to work with the caregivers. So you have your guests and your clients that come in, the adults themselves, but how do you work with them to prepare them either through books or pamphlets or other video resources or other elements that the family members can have as tools to keep them positive and focused on how important their work is when their loved one is with them?
Okay, well, actually, we have Catholic Charities, the adult daycare. We have a quarterly care support meeting. Since we're in the land of COVID, we are definitely Zooming. So our next scheduled Zoom care support meeting is for April, and we do them, as I stated, every quarter. I know for each of the site directors here, I have 2 books in mind that I always try to push out for the caregivers when it comes to things such as that. The Caregiver Guides to Dementia. That is a good resource for caregivers because dealing with dementia, Alzheimer's, and things such as that, they need something that will help them on that journey. And then a second book that I always push is the Elder Care Playbook, which is good for self-help. Because as you stated, it's a lot. It is a lot to tend to our loved ones, especially in a 24-hour period. And sometimes what I have observed, the caregivers, they lose sight of themselves. And if they aren't providing self-care to themselves, then they aren't a benefit to their loved ones. So our care support meetings are always a good thing because we focus a lot on the care of the caregivers because they feel, from what I've noticed, it's like they feel left out.
Sure. Yeah, and it's important to remind folks of those 2 resources. You mentioned the Caregiver's Guide to Dementia, as well as another book, the Elder Care Playbook. So yes. Check into those, as those are just wonderful resources, as recommended here by LaDonna. Angela, let me throw it back to you. We've talked about this amazing staff that we have working in our adult daycare centers, and that they care so much about the adults that come in day over day. And LaDonna brought this up, COVID. Let's talk about how you had to be creative and how the team went out of their way beyond measure to stay connected with seniors during the pandemic.
So that was actually a lot of fun. During the pandemic, because people were in isolation, this new thing started, this new craze was drive-by parade. So we decorated the buses as well as staff vehicles with balloons and flyers and all kinds of colorful decorations. And we drove by the homes of the participants, blowing the car horns, getting them to either wave through the window or come outside on the porch, just to let them know how much we love them, how much we miss them, how much we're looking forward to them returning to the site. And it was an absolute blast. They loved it. The caregivers loved it. It was just the boost they needed to keep them going. And at that time, we also received a lot of donations. So we were able to provide people with incontinence supplies and other things that they may need during the pandemic.
That really was such an extraordinary example of how Catholic Charities staff members go above and beyond their jobs to make sure that participants know they care about them as people way beyond just being a participant in a program. I've seen some photos, and those drive-bys, they actually did look like a lot of fun. They served a beautiful purpose, but they actually did look like a lot of fun too, Angela. Could I ask each of you to possibly share a story of the special community feel that you get when you go to Catholic Charities adult daycare centers to just show that bond between participants and staff members? LaDonna, may I start with you?
Sure. So I have a story in mind. As you all know, since I feel as though when any senior is being placed in a facility or something like that, I feel as though they feel as though their independence is about to be stripped away. So then that's when they get a little bit feisty with us and things like that. And it's making our job a little bit harder, but we're ready for it. So I have a young lady here. She's been here for about, I'll say, the last year. When she started into the program, we couldn't find her niche. She fussed a lot. She was very defiant. She wouldn't follow any sort of structure that we put out there. So I spoke with the son, both of her sons. I spoke with them differently. And of course, when she's at home, she's fine. She's doing this. They don't understand what is the problem. You know, she loves us. You know, she talks, she does this and that. So I'm telling the staff, I'm not sure. So I go through the intake packet. And in our intake packet, we have an interest and activity form, which is helpful for the activity supervisor. So we'll be able to know what they used to do in the past and things like that. So as I'm looking at the interest and activity form, one of the questions was, what are the things that you like most? And it said children. It said children. So I was looking deeper into the intake packet, and I looked at her previous jobs. So she was a daycare. She worked in the daycare. So then I connected daycare children. Okay. I collected, the staff, they collected about 7 baby dolls, big, small, just a wide variety of baby dolls. And we started to take her the baby dolls. And when I tell you that she created her own little daycare in the corner with those baby dolls, and that's what she does every day. And when we did that, maybe 7 months ago, her behavior shifted. As soon as she walks in the door, she's taking her coat off and she's making a beeline to her daycare corner. And we're going to let her over there, and she doesn't let anybody go with her. She's going over to that corner, and she's going to engage with her babies, and she's going to change them. She's going to sit them up. She's going to do all of that. And for me sharing this story, just last Thursday, the staff, they brought her in the office, and I wasn't quite sure what was going on, but she came in the office and she broke one of the footing of the baby doll. Like the baby doll foot was hanging off. So when I saw the baby, I'm looking at the participant, I'm looking at the staff, and they said she wanted the baby to go to the hospital. So I said, okay, I'm gonna be the hospital. So I took the baby, I put some tape around it, and she stood and she watched me thoroughly with her baby. After I taped the baby up, I handed the baby back off to the participant, and she walked out the office with it like as if it was nothing, and nothing was none the wiser. So we always try to hone in on all of the participants and the things that they used to do, like playing cards. They build their own card table, dancing. Oftentimes we'll have people that come in and they line dance and things like that. So we'll open up the floor for the participants to share and teach the other participants here, which is giving them some independence and making them feel, you know, because we want to always be client-centered. So we're providing that to them.
Thank
but
you.
If we can find their niche, we're going to definitely provide it for them.
Thank you so much for joining us. Angela, we're out of time. We'll invite you back to share some stories with us about your engagement with clients. Again, visit CatholicCharities.net for more information on our adult daycare program.
And we invite all of you back again next week for another edition of The Voice of Charity. For now, this is Katie Bredemann with Phil Zepeda, and we thank you for tuning in and believing in the mission of Catholic Charities.